table.
Yep. I like that.
Hey guys.
So, shoot. How was camping?
It was good.
Yeah? Everything all good with the trailer?
Yeah, everything went smoothly.
Nice.
Got a little shock of the gas mileage. I wasn't totally prepared for that that little fact, but it is what it is.
Yeah? How are you feeling about backing that thing up or what?
I feel okay. That's not too bad. It's only like 17 feet. So. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Damn it.
You never went out on me, and I can hear Jim.
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Can you hear me now?
Is it the location, the garage?
You just can't hear us.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, everybody's good, right?
I don't think he's good.
I can hear you. I can
Okay.
hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Devo. The smaller trailer, we got a smaller one, and I cannot, no matter which way I turn the wheel, man, I cannot get that thing to move right when I'm backing it up.
You move it this much, and it hits that different angle of whatever you're going towards. Like, it's crazy. Like, the bigger, the better.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have to back it up too much. So just when I got backed it into the storage spot.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the storage spot. You got to back it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Text Byron or something.
He said he's about 1 minute late.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this weekend I went down to Shasta, and I went with my brother-in-law, and he has a boat, and so he took us out on that, and we did a little wake surfing.
Uh-huh.
It was my first time doing that, and it was so much fun. I actually got up, Shrell got up and rode the wave a little bit. It was cool.
Nice. Let me grab my water.
Cool. Yeah, that looks fun, man. It looks painful if you biff it, but it looks like a lot of fun.
It wasn't. That's obviously what I was super scared about. I was like, dude, I don't want to be twisted up and hurt my back. Like, it's not worth it to me. And they're like, I promise you, it won't yank you. It won't hurt your back at all. And I was good.
Okay. Nice. It's good to know.
Yeah.
It looks hard. It looks like one of those things that you don't just get it your first time. It's going to take you 10 times out before you can actually stand up. So that's nice that you got it.
Took me 5 times, and then I got up. It took Shrell, I think, maybe 5 or 6, and she got up.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's not as hard as it looks. It was easy. But it was fun.
Nice.
That's nice.
Well, here, real quick, I made a little something for everybody. Here we go.
Oh, my God. Lovely.
There you go.
All righty, let's do this.
How are you guys
Oh,
feeling?
Feeling good.
Prepared.
All right. Welcome to Around the Corn, week 6. I appreciate you guys. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Can't wait. Next year we'll have the ATQ on the road series, the ATQ boys in Vegas. Gonna be a great.
That's right.
Right around. Maybe maybe we'll have to wait till March, or maybe we'll be able to do it sooner. But can't wait for that. All right, so let's just get this thing started, guys. kind of circling around here. That's 6 weeks of Around the Corn and 6 weeks of basically no sports. That makes it difficult to come up with some good content. But there's plenty to talk about, plenty of subjects to bring up that will come up in the future. So why don't we circle back on an exciting prospect, a guy that unfortunately had a pretty rough injury at the end of his junior season at Alabama. Let's talk about him. What do you guys think of this guy? Is he going to be the savior for the Dolphins? And then also, we're going to go to Devo first. Extra point for you, Devo, to pronounce his full name correctly.
Tua Tagovailoa.
I think that's it. Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, that's probably the last time I'll say that guy's name because I don't think he has any hope of being anything. I'm just not hopping on that bandwagon. When it comes to the NFL, it's all about where you're drafted. It's all about organization. And he's getting drafted to just one of the worst organizations out there. They're not very good. They're never good, actually. Do you remember when the Dolphins were good? It's either one season and then they're right back to being bad again. Let's go over the last 20 years. The last 20 years, they've had 13, 8-8 or worse records. And they've only had 7 winning seasons. And in those 20 seasons, they've only made the playoffs 3 times. They're just terrible. And in those 20 seasons also, they've had 10 coaches. They just it's a revolving door of coaches in there. They can't get one guy they like. They can't pick one or one guy to stand behind. So I just don't see it happening. And let's go to this. Who's the last guy to have a hip injury? Bo Jackson. He didn't come back very good after that injury. So I just don't see it happening. And if we talk about head coaches here, Brian Flores, if we go on the average of coaches in Miami, he's been there for 1 year. So that gives him 2 years left. So Tua is going to have him for 2 years and then get another coach. And then let's see if he even lasts his 4-year contract. And then he's going to get another coach and another coach. But no, I don't get behind it. He's not the savior. Nobody can save a franchise that just kills themselves. So that's my opinion.
Let's hear it from you, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up Bo Jackson because that was in the 1980s when at that time an ACL injury would also end your career. Things have changed quite a bit since then. So given how everything is and the way he looks on film, great, there's hope. In terms of kind of looking over the question, I think I interpreted it slightly differently. I thought we were going to discuss expectations for this season, maybe not for an entire, hopefully long career. So I had planned for that. But Dolphins are one of the bottom feeder teams in the league. It's tough to turn that thing around, but they had 14 picks in the first 3 rounds. So they at least have a shot, especially with the Patriots losing Tom Brady. That era's over, so the division is a bit different these days.
Byron. Wait, hold on. Extra point for each glass of wine you chug, starting now.
I poured a big glass. That's not fair. This is like 3 glasses in one, so I wouldn't have to keep filling.
Starting now. Go.
0 point.
Let me just preface my answer by offering a brief comment on Jeremy's last response. I don't care what question you prepped for. When you hear the question, you answer the question. Rule number 83, no excuses. Play like a champion. All right? Now that that's said and out of the way, look, Tua is the real deal. Now, in the NFL, we hear a lot about ability, right? His speed, his footwork, his arm strength. The most important ability is availability. And that's where the questions come into play with Tua. Is he going to be available? And I think to Jeremy's point, yes, he's looked good in tapes. He's looked good at workouts. And medical science has come so far that we have seen guys come back from worse injuries and perform. So I do think the health is going to be there. And if the health is there, the talent is certainly there. I like that. I like that Brian Flores is the head coach. I think he's a young up-and-comer. Tua has the ability. You saw as a true freshman, he came in and won a national championship game when Jalen Hurts got injured, won the title. And what happened the year after that? Jalen Hurts up and transferred, left the program, went to Oklahoma. So he chased Jalen Hurts, a Heisman candidate quarterback who took his team to the title game, chased him out of town as a freshman. Keep in mind, Jalen Hurts was a second-round draft pick in the NFL. That's how good Jalen Hurts is. And he left campus because true freshman Tua was that good, and he saw the writing on the wall. So, yeah, if he's good enough to chase a second-round Jalen Hurts out of town, I believe he's good enough to turn this Dolphins program around. I love Brian Flores there. I love that he's going to be learning under the tutelage of Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's on his way out, but has also been in enough quarterback rooms to mentor this kid. And then finally, I like the fact that the expectations are low. He's in Miami. They don't win games, like Debo said. Tua can go 2-14 for the next 2 or 3 years, and the fan base will still believe in him. He's going to have time. He's going to have the opportunity. I think he's good enough to turn it around there.
Alabama always wins the championship. Whoopie Dewey came in and fucking started for them and won the championship. And there was something else I wanted to say, but I lost it. So go ahead.
Just a brief comment on that to support Devo's point. I wanted to bring this up, but it was contrary to my point. The last quarterback to win a game in the NFL who went to Alabama was A.J. McCarron in 2015. And the last Alabama quarterback before that to win an NFL game was Jeff Rutledge in 1987. So as a practical matter, Alabama does not produce quarterbacks. They don't, but I think Tua is going to be the exception to that rule.
So do I get those points or does
I didn't know you could argue both points, both sides.
I know. About to call you devil's advocate.
A little confused.
From now on, Byron.
Fair enough.
All right. Very nice, guys. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to stick with Byron on this one. Did anybody watch this matchup? It sounds like it could have been entertaining seeing Tiger and Peyton out there against Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. Did anybody watch it?
No.
I did not.
Okay, me neither. So, anyways, it would be a lot more entertaining if we saw these guys in a WWE-style tables and chairs match. Tell me who you have winning and why.
I got to give the edge, I think, to Tiger and Peyton Manning, and this is a tough one. You know, Brady is at least still an NFL player, so I suppose maybe Brady could edge out Peyton Manning with the neck surgeries and whatnot. But Peyton Manning grew up with two brothers, and so you know they had some WrestleMania growing up back in the day. So I'm going to give a slight edge to Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. And then you got to look at Tiger versus Phil. Tiger, at one point in time, not too long ago, was jacked. I mean, he was squeezing into those Nike red polos on championship day. The dude was jacked. Meanwhile, Phil Mickelson is doing commercials for psoriatic arthritis. I can't put my money behind that guy in a WWE. I can't win with him. So I'm going to give the edge to Tiger and Peyton.
Very nice. I know you guys love this question, right?
Best question of the night by far.
Jeremy, you get the same challenge. You go ahead, start chugging, and you get some points. Go for it.
Oh, sweet. I'm already halfway down, so that'll work.
He's like, it's just Coca-Cola.
No, man, I actually found a really good rum that goes with Coke, but I'm pretty stoked on it, actually.
I know.
All right, Jeremy, go for it.
All right, so just to play devil's advocate, I'll go the opposite here. I'll go with TB12, who's a nutrition nut. If you're still able to play professional NFL football at the age of like 70, like Tom Brady is, I'll take him in a tables and chair matchup over a guy who's been out of the league for several years, doing nothing as far as I can tell, other than making commercials. Phil, I think he could get in a good swing or two. Obviously, the shoulders are in good shape, right? So give me some Phil and Brady.
All right, Devo, bring us home.
All right, I took this one real serious. So just bear with me on this one. Close your eyes. So WWE style, they're going to have a guest ref. Guest ref comes out, and who is it? Roger Goodell. And he comes in the ring, and everybody's freaking out. No, Roger Goodell, he hates Tom Brady. And so he's like, oh, he's going to be looking the other way. He's going to let nut jabs to Tom Brady the whole time. His tap's going to be slow. He's going to be like, 1, 2, just super slow, super biased the whole time. And so Tom and Phil come out. This is their music. You hear that? Yeah, so they're walking to the ring. They're loving it. Everybody's like, oh, Tom and Phil, so sick. Then Tiger and Manning come out. Oh, Tiger King, okay. Tiger and Manning are walking to the ring. So they start brawling it out the whole time, just going at it. The final move that sends Tiger is a chair to the back, because he's got a bad back. So he just gets a chair to the back. He's out. Then Tom picks up Manny, gives him the tombstone with the bad neck. Oh, he's out. And they win the match. So you got to go Tom and Phil on this one. It was easy.
Wow.
Wow, you needed more props for that whole thing.
Seriously.
Like some action figures. Who of these guys do you think, if you had to put your money on it, who do you think is actually a WWE fan of these 4 guys?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
The bigger thing.
Peyton is definitely a WWE fan, right? I got Peyton and Tiger for sure. All right. Let's move on to gonna do a little college football. We haven't done a whole lot of college football here. A little bit of news. Jim Harbaugh lands nice prospect linebacker Jaden Hood to Michigan. Talk to us a little bit about this upcoming season and who you think has best chance at winning the championship. Jeremy.
Yeah, so I got to go with Clemson. They were just there. They got the bitter taste of a loss hanging in their mouth. It's Trevor Lawrence's last season at Clemson, so he's going to be dying to win one. Projected number 1 QB in the NFL draft. I love that. The defense is going to be loaded as always. They had the 3rd best recruiting class. And then I was also taking a look at just what other projected players are going to go in the first round, potentially their running back. So if you have the number 1 QB in the draft, you have the first running back off the board on that Clemson team, give me Clemson.
All right, Byron.
Wrong. Your team needs to make the playoffs before they're actually going to play for a title. So Clemson will make the playoffs. Clemson is the Gonzaga of college football. The ACC is horrible. It's horrible. They have no threat, so they skate by in the regular season, and then they fold like they do every year in the title in the playoffs because they haven't played those teams. The next best team in that division is unranked Miami or unranked Florida State. So the ACC is awful. I thought about going Ohio State, but Penn State's a better team than Ohio State. Thought about going Bama, but they got to run through Georgia and LSU. The answer is Oklahoma Sooners. They have the best coach, up-and-coming coach in college football with Lincoln Riley. And you just have to look at what Lincoln Riley has done since he got to Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield, transfer quarterback, Heisman. The next year, Kyler Murray, transfer quarterback, Heisman. Year after that, Jalen Hurts, transfer quarterback, Heisman candidate. 3 transfer quarterbacks in a row, 2 win the Heisman, and 1 is at the table. This year, he finally has his own quarterback that he recruited and groomed in Spencer Rattler. I follow this guy closely because he's an Arizona kid out of Phoenix. He's a 5-star recruit, the top dual-threat quarterback in the country, picked Oklahoma over every program in the nation, including Alabama. And on top of that, I also looked at NFL draft picks or NFL draft projections. Oklahoma has 6 offensive line projected to be drafted in the 2021 draft. 6. That means they have NFL offensive linemen coming off the bench. All right. And so when you throw in a dynamic talent like Spencer Rattler and that offensive line with Lincoln Riley, that team's going to win the title, period.
Sorry, Devo. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't even matter because I hate college football. I just hate it so much. Like, you might as well have asked me, like, who's the next up-and-coming cricket player, or, you know, who's the next MVP of the NHL, because I don't fucking have a clue. Throw down here. Absolutely nothing. Number 3. You know what? And luckily, it doesn't even matter because it's college fucking football. It's just going to be Alabama again like every other year. They just win it every time. So they'll be in the championship. Maybe they'll lose it, I guess. That's a possibility, but they'll probably win it. So Alabama, I guess they're going to be the championship.
You are awarded no points, and may God have mercy on your goal.
We'll make sure to put a ton of college football questions in next week's episode. All right, moving on. We're going to stick with Devo on this one. Damian Lillard makes some headlines here. Says if the NBA season resumes without the Blazers having a real chance of making the playoffs, he's not going to participate. Devo, what do you think of this?
This one hurts. This one hurts bad because as a Dame fan, he really has no blemishes on his record. He always seems to say the right thing. He's obviously a great player. He seems to love the city, you know, all that good stuff. But right now, I think that's kind of a big move. And I guess it just depends on what the season actually happens. But if there are regular season games, that they need to play those games because he's getting paid for those games. And so if he sits out, that just seems like it's unfair to the fans at that point. And in a time that we're in where people have to do a lot of other shitty jobs that they don't want to do, complaining about going in to play some meaningless basketball games, like at least you do that in preseason. Like you go out there and do it for the fans then. So, and like, we need basketball. Just like, get it on TV, give us something to watch. It'd be your way of giving back. If you won't even think about it that way, you're still getting a check. But yeah, I just don't think it's a good look. He shouldn't have said it. Like, people already think NBA players are spoiled, overpaid, and that's just one more knock for them to just say, oh, look, these NBA players, all they want to do is just rest and sit around and get paid. So it really sucks that he said that, and I totally disagree. He's got to play those games if he has to, if that's what the commissioner says.
All right, let's go to Byron.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dame, but he's out of line, and I have to agree with everything Devo said. You know, as a practical matter, this is a form of protest by Dame about a shortened season, or you know, calling it early. And it's decisions that are being made above his pay grade, and he should not be weighing in on this. To Devo's point, number one, he's under contract. You don't get to dictate whether or not you play, if it matters or doesn't. You're under contract to play games. And I love Devo's point about there's a lot of people right now who are going to work who don't want to, right? It's dangerous. People on the front lines, people at grocery stores, people are working tough jobs because they have to. Dame gets paid millions of bucks and he doesn't want to show up to work because it doesn't mean anything to him. That's bullshit. That's point number one. And point number two, Dame, the only reason they're meaningless is because you couldn't carry your team to the playoffs, right? I mean, it's your fault. You have no one else to blame but you and your boys. I know you had injuries, you had this, you had that. You know, who are you going to look to? Your team's not in the playoffs. I'm sorry. It is what it is. And don't tell me you were going to make a run late in the season or something like that. You're on the outside looking in, And so that's how I see it. It's too bad. I love the competitive spirit of Dame, but he's out of line.
All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first off, I think it's ironic that the LeBron fan in the house is talking about how it's unfair to the fans if the star decides to sit, right? Isn't this why we have this term load management? Because certain players have decided to take games off.
You said LeBron, right? Not Kawhi.
Isn't LeBron part of that? When was the last time he played an 80-game season?
He played 78.
All right, so
He's played 78. Sorry, I'll stop.
It's all right. So here's the thing. I actually don't mind it from the standpoint of Dame is expressing how badly he wants there to be some sort of opportunity to get into the playoffs. What I think he's saying is that, hey, look, if you're going to shorten the season and give us 5 meaningless games that we now have to prepare for, why? If you're going to give us a play-in series, great. I'm there for it. I'll get my body back in shape. But, yeah, if you're just going to have a shortened 5 games to end the season, no chance of making the playoffs, I don't have that big of an issue with it.
Wow.
Very nice. I like that. That's
Yeah, I definitely like Byron's point too. Like, if you had carried your team, you would have been there. Wouldn't even have been a problem.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a very, very extreme circumstance that has never been seen before. So I'm sure Dame's got a lot of emotion into that opinion there. So,
Well, where do you sit on this?
I was kind of on your side, Jeremy, but these guys are making great points. So, I'm going to be politically correct here and say, well, whatever he wants to do is what he wants to do. So,
What a cop out.
hey, I'm the host. That's my job. I need to get all the audience members. Remember, Republicans buy shoes too. All right. So, there has been news circulating about NBA moving to a top 16 team playoff system, doing away with the 8 teams per conference. What are your thoughts on this change up, Byron?
To be entirely honest, I really don't feel that strongly about this one way or the other. I think, in the past it used to be because travel was difficult, and so you couldn't do East Coast and West Coast. It was difficult on the players and the organizations. That's not the case anymore. I tried to look for some data, for some information about fairness, where, look at the East, they have 2 losing teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and Western Conference is much stronger. But that didn't do it for me. I wasn't persuaded by that, because as a practical matter, when we moved from a 5-game series to a 7-game series in the first round, it used to be 5 games not that long ago, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. When we moved to a 7-game series, that pretty much guaranteed that the better team is going to advance, right? In a 7-game series, the better team is going to win 4. In a 5-game series, you could steal a series. And so, if you're squeezing in an 8 seed on the West Coast that now gets to be, the 9 seed on the West Coast that now gets to be the 8 seed in the East Coast, I don't really care. They're still going to lose in the first round in a 7-game series, because that's what this is designed to do. So this only benefits the teams, the fringe playoff teams going to top 16 rank as opposed to East and West. And what it sacrifices are some of the traditional regional playoff rivalries that we love. Blazers, OKC. I love that. Knicks, Celtics, things like that. And you want to see Lakers, Celtics finals. We've grown to love these regional rivalries in the playoffs, and I would hate to see those be sacrificed because, OKC ends up on the wrong side of the bracket one year or something like that. So, like I said, I don't feel that strongly one way or the other about this, but for the sake of regional rivalries, I'm against it.
Devo.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I want it. Because obviously, with all my answers, it's 6 degrees for LeBron. And all I ever hear was, "Oh, he had a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk in the East. He never plays anybody hard." So that would eliminate that. And then if you want to go classic cliches, you got to beat the best to be the best. I want the best teams in the playoffs. So, and the only negative I really see is, like Byron said, is that you'll lose the rivalries, but those still can be created with the best teams because a lot of the times they'll meet in that Final Four bracket, or they'll meet in the finals eventually because it's just the best teams. And then you'll get the classic Warriors Cavs every year where you're like, okay, the finals are actually some of the best games because these are the best two teams with all the best players. So I'm ready for it. And if you think about it this way, this could also change the regular season for everybody. As a LeBron fan, when he was with Cleveland, I'd only get to see him once a year in Portland. They'd have to change the schedule where you play teams more evenly because you can't just have a team you've only met 3 times out of the year. So you're going to have to see every team a little bit more than you would in a regular season. So I like that aspect. Maybe you get LeBron coming twice a year instead of once a year to your city. So I like that aspect. And that's all.
It's not all about LeBron.
Well, you can base it on your favorite player. You can say the same thing for your favorite player, Dame or somebody.
Okay, Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, initial reaction is I'm excited, right, for a change. We do complain all the time about the East being weak, the West being strong. And then I started looking into it. And if this were to have been in place last season, absolutely nothing would have changed. The 9th seeded team in the West was the 39-43 Sacramento Kings. The 8th seed in the East was the 41-41 Pistons. So the 9th seed in the West wouldn't have made it anyway. So the exact same teams would have still been in there. And to Byron's point, I think there is something to having your Western Conference champion versus your Eastern Conference champion. So I would say at first I thought I'd be really excited about it, but after looking at it, I don't like it. I say keep it the way it is.
Another thing on my side of it is how many times have we seen a finals where it was just a sweep? Like that would just hopefully eliminate that at least, right? Because that cakewalk team that came from whatever conference it is that year, West or East, is not making it because they would have had a harder road. Or not the break to make it to the finals. So you wouldn't hopefully get those 4-0 sweeps and that stuff. So
I like that point.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem beneficial to the NBA to divide it up. It seems like to that point, a 1 versus 16 seed is pretty much going to be a sweep, and the NBA wants as many games as they can get out of the playoffs. So, okay, so the next question, you guys go ahead and answer this how you want. I kind of want to focus a little bit on top 10 of this NFL draft. So, Jeremy, who do you think in the top 10 of your rankings is sort of an outlier, someone that you may be reaching for, or someone you think is just going too high and you're just not going to?
So I took a look at Yahoo just to see how is their top 10 ranked. And the one guy that stands out is how in the hell is he a top 10 is Joe Mixon. As a Joe Mixon owner from last season and finishing last place in fantasy, oh my God, that guy does not deserve any piece of top 10. He was I think my first round pick, if not second. Total letdown for 90% of the season. Nothing is improved there. They've got rookie quarterback Joe Burrow, which again, defenses are going to dial up 9 in the box every time, make Joe beat you. Joe Burrow, that is, beat you. Joe Mixon, that O-line is still one of the worst in the league. They're going to be playing from behind all the time, which eliminates the run game. I am staying far, far away from Joe Mixon. The one guy that I'm probably higher on than most, and you may disagree, feel free. If I got pick number 10, I would honestly consider Patrick Mahomes. That dude is far and away, I think, the best fantasy quarterback in the league. Again, I've seen him throw 4 touchdowns in a quarter, not a half, not a game, one single quarter. There's nothing that tells me that offense is going to slow down. So, as kind of a guy I might be higher on than most, give me Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Debo, why don't you give us your backup answer?
All right. Well, first points I want to talk about is I was going to address the Joe Mixon thing because I swear there was like a topic last week where I was like, oh, they got Joe Mixon, so that's decent. He'll be good. And he was ranked the 17th running back. I think I should get some back points for that. And then you said and talked about Mahomes. Didn't you trade Mahomes last year?
Yeah, listen, man, I was in last place. I had to try to do something. He was the only guy I could get any value for.
Okay, I just want to clear those 2 things up.
You're right.
But my not too good guy, I think I'm going with is Derrick Henry. I just think because he beasted it in the playoffs, everybody's got a little bit higher expectation than he'll ever live up to. He's decent, but he's just yeah. Like, if he's your second running back, then you probably feel pretty good about yourself. But as a first rounder, I'm not sure I love that pick. And the bounce back player of the year, Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to kill it next year. The Dallas Cowboys got more weapons. They're not going to be able to load the box. Just bounce back season, baby.
So you're taking him number 1?
Well, no, I mean, you can't always bank on number 1. You can't bank on getting number 1, so maybe number 2. I might take somebody else before them.
All right, Byron, what you got?
So yeah, you take Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall, and we're not going to have any further discussion about that.
Hello, everybody.
and to say that Patrick Mahomes is far and away the best fantasy quarterback, and it isn't even close. I thought about that being such an outrageous comment that it was too ludicrous for me to even respond to, but I will. The fact that last I checked, Lamar Jackson is still in the league. To me, that's pretty close. You can have a Mahomes preference, right? But it's not far and away. It's not clear cut. I felt like that needed addressing. The guy that I'm sort of lukewarm on in the top 10, it's tough because aside from Joe Mixon, you can make a decent case for all these guys. The guy I'm not too high on and that's in the top 10 is Saquon Barkley. I always worry about Daniel Jones. I'm not convinced that he's the guy. They bring in a new head coach who is like a freaking wide receiver coach in New England. I don't know what kind of coach he is. They bring in Jason Garrett to be the O coordinator. And Saquon started to show some chinks in the armor this last season. He missed some games off an injury. You don't like to see that from a second year back. So I think he's got some risk to him with productivity. And with injury, and with a new front office and a second-year quarterback, it's just too much instability for me to invest a top 5 pick in Saquon. So I'll move him out. A guy that I'm moving way up my draft board, and I shouldn't even be telling you this, but I will. It's Le'Veon Bell, and I talked about him earlier in one of our earlier episodes. I love Le'Veon. Guy's 28 years old. It feels like he's been in the league for 15 years for some reason, but he's 28 years old, and one of those years he took off. So he's got fresh legs. He had low usage last year. We know what he can do on the ground and in the air. He's a true bell cow back. I bet no one here can tell me who his backup is. This year, all right, shut up, Jeremy. He'll have a healthy Sam Darnold. They have a revamped, very strong offensive line. And you know, I think that he's undervalued. I'm not saying he's a top 5 running back, but right now Yahoo has him ranked number 48 overall. He's not a 4th or 5th round pick to me. Le'Veon Bell is a 2nd round running back. So there it is.
Don't they have the hardest schedule of the year?
They do.
Points, Charlie points.
Good stuff. You know, that's That's funny, Devo. I actually had Derrick Henry. I like him as a top pick. Yeah, he came on late, but as did the Titans when they made their quarterback change and Ryan Tannehill. They got that offense moving. So I kind of would like to bank on that Tennessee Titan team keeping it together and getting off to a good start. And Derrick Henry was the best running back in football in the second half of the season last year. So I think I would pick him over a lot of guys. I might pick him over a guy like Alvin Kamara, where there's just so many weapons there in New Orleans. They're spreading the ball out. They like to get the ball out the flat to their satellite backs, and they added some weapons. So I think they want to limit him and his touches, as he's shown to be a little bit injury prone. So yeah. All right, what's next? Okay, Paul Pierce. God, don't you hate Paul Pierce? I fucking hate this guy. Sorry.
Are we skipping Cam Newton?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are?
Guys, I'm the host. Just
I studied for that one.
Give me a hey. We got plenty of time. We're just getting started. Okay? Don't question the host. See, this is my eraser. Paul Pierce recently made some noise saying LeBron was not in his top 5 all time. News came out later that the conflict between the two may have stemmed from an incident where Pierce was spitting at the bench in early years. I think LeBron's second year it was. So why don't we start with... Oh, God, I have to hear Devo talk about this. Go ahead, Devo.
So I don't know if this is what you expected, but it's not out of line, but it's wrong. Obviously, it's wrong, but I like it. I like when you're just like salty enough. You're like, dude, I just didn't like that guy. He's not in my top 5, all right? We had some battles. I just don't like his personality. Like, that's what all the old timers are always saying is missing out of sports. Like, we don't have those old school rivalries where the guys just hated each other. Well, now you got it. Paul Pierce, he doesn't like LeBron. Not going to put him in his top 5. I don't see anything wrong with it.
All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being left off the top 5, right? You can make an argument for Bird over LeBron. Devo, come on. There's an argument for that. Now, with that said, in recent years, I have switched to LeBron over Bird, but that's still an argument. So if he's not on the top 5, that's not a complete shock. Spitting, I think, is pretty much the worst thing you can do. I mean, I've seen Nick Batum take a nut shot on a guy in a basketball game. I've seen a guy get hit in the head with a helmet, but just in terms of like disrespect, I think spitting on someone is one of the worst things you could do. In fact, when this question got brought up, it brought me back to when I was a kid, and my dad actually said, hey, no matter what you do, don't spit on someone. So for me, that's that.
All right, Byron.
Yeah, this question was kind of fun. I'm a big Paul Pierce fan. I like him. I liked his game. To Jeremy's point, can you make an argument for 5 guys that are better than LeBron? Sure. I mean, Jordan, Kareem, Russell, Magic, Kobe, I think was the list that I saw. Maybe Bird was in there. Can an argument be made for those guys? Yeah, sure. But Paul Pierce, you can't make that argument, right? You don't get to make that argument, and you didn't make that argument. You didn't explain why. He said, well, they didn't do it on their own, right? Or LeBron didn't do it on his own. He had to team up in Miami, and then he had to team up in Cleveland, and he teamed up in LA. It's like, I remember Ray Allen and KG coming to Boston, right? So don't talk to me about teaming up. The fact of the matter is that Paul Pierce is just a salty dog because LeBron stole Ray down to South Beach and won a title. That's what this is about. And so Paul Pierce, I mean, are you wrong that you don't have LeBron in your top 5? No, an argument can be made, but you're making it for the wrong reasons. You're making it because you're salty, not because you actually think that. So That's how I feel about Paul Pierce. Now, as far as spitting goes, I disagree. I don't think spitting is the most disrespectful thing or the worst thing you can do in a competitive sports game. I think it's quitting, right? If someone spits on you or they punch you or they nut shot you, very disrespectful, likely to incite violence. But if the game goes on, you get the satisfaction at the end of the game of beating that motherfucker, and they have to walk off all pissed off and salty, right? And that's the greatest thing as the victim, right? You get to win, and there's nothing better than that. But quitting, that is the most disrespectful thing, taking your ball and going home, because you deny the person that satisfaction of beating you at the very game you're there competing at. So I put quitting worse than spitting. Quitting is the worst thing you can do.
Another thing on the Paul Pierce thing is he threw a Celtic in there too, so that was kind of like a Homer little like, oh, I'll throw him in there, and maybe that will stick with the Boston crowd. I always got to shout out the Boston.
Yeah. I swear Paul Pierce's list was like Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Jason Tatum, D. Brown, and
Danny Ainge.
Very nice. Plus one for the salty dog reference, Byron. You got me thirsty.
How you like that?
You also reminded me, who was at Sunday Ball the time that Adam Elder quit in the middle of a pickup game?
I was there.
You were there?
Bitch move. Yeah.
I went off on him.
Yeah.
I was in
Why'd he
his
quit?
face. Huh?
Why'd he quit?
Chuck was killing him.
Yeah, he just, I think we were losing by a certain amount of points, and he was just pissed. He was done. And I just went, yeah, I fucking went off on him. I was so pissed at him. I've never been so pissed at somebody. And then he had to give me a ride home. It was rough. Okay, very nice. Yeah, I don't really know why Paul Pierce is on TV. I guess just because he makes these egregious comments and is ridiculous. So
Him and Kendrick Perkins.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and tell us about Cam Newton and why he's not yet signed?
All right, so a 31-year-old quarterback coming off an injury who's a running quarterback, can't do that as well. Taking 30-plus sacks and major hits every season adds up. The guy's not going to be as good as he was. With that said, he should be signed, especially since Jameis Winston found a home. So with that being said, the team that I would like to see sign Cam Newton is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's why. Tom's only got about a year left. Give Cam enough time to heal up, learn under Bruce Arians' system, and then guess who he gets to go face twice a year? The Carolina Panthers.
Nice. All right, Byron, go ahead.
What an absolutely ridiculous answer. You want a 31-year-old former MVP to go be a backup somewhere for a year and learn? I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to that. Cam Newton, the knock on Cam Newton, the popular knock, at least right now, for why he's not signed is exactly what Jeremy said. Oh, it's the injuries, or he's not very accurate. He's a running quarterback. He's not very accurate, doesn't have the arm. Both of those are bullshit. Both of those are bullshit. And you don't have to look any further than the Carolina Panthers. They just signed Teddy Bridgewater, right? A way worse injury than Cam has ever had. Teddy Bridgewater's leg was almost amputated. I mean, straight up, leg was almost amputated, and they are now throwing the franchise behind him, all right? Ron Rivera, Cam's last coach, traded for Cam's backup when he got to Washington. Ron Rivera traded for Kyle Allen. I mean, come on. The whole franchise is saying we want nothing to do with this guy. And so Cam Newton is a better quarterback than Kyle Allen. There's no question. He's twice the athlete as Teddy Bridgewater and a much better arm. So it's not ability, it's not arm, and it's not health. It's that Cam Newton is not what NFL GMs and head coaches want to deal with. He is a drama queen. He's more concerned with himself and his fashion. He's distracted. He's self-centered. He's had character issues and coachability issues going back to college. When he was at Florida, people forget about this. He started at Florida, got arrested for burglary and theft, and then transferred to Auburn. He's got all the ability in the world, and I think he still has it. But he is too much of a distraction for any of these GMs to deal with. That's why he's out of work, not because he can't do the job. He can do the job, same as Kaepernick. Kaepernick can do the job. That's not why he doesn't have one. It's all of the collateral baggage that comes with Cam. Having said that, if I had to put him somewhere, only one team makes sense, and that would be New England. That's a team that's built to win now. That is a team with the front office leadership to say, you check your baggage at the door because we do things a certain way here. And if Cam could get behind that, if with a team that's ready to win now and a quarterback who is now Jarrett Stidham, I mean, come on, Cam is an upgrade, and there's no doubt about that. That's the team that should pick him up, and that's where I'd like to see him be.
Devo.
Yeah, so let me just address the first thing is, does anybody really think that, like, dressing up in press conferences help win or lose games? So I just hate that whole, like, he's a distraction because he likes to dress funny. Well, yeah, it's funny to you, but it's just, he likes to dress. That's like what people do. Nobody ever says that about Russell Westbrook when he walks into the basketball game like, oh, he wore construction vest. He's really going to distract the team from a win today. So it's just like this unfair narrative that he gets put behind that I think are really hurting him from getting a job. Because I think he could just go be a backup. He'll take whatever job he could, but GMs are thinking like, oh, he'll be a distraction. Oh, he'll do this, blah, blah, blah. And I also don't want to hear anything about age. 31 is young in an era where quarterbacks are playing over 40. So that's just like another bullshit like excuse. It's just like him is in the perfect storm of getting like absolutely fucked. And COVID isn't helping him because he can't go like prove that he's healthy. So he's just kind of got to sit around and like let these narratives and all these people on the media talk about it and like put all these thoughts in the GM's head. Like he definitely should be on a team. And just like Jamie said, Jameis Winston got a job. Joe Flacco got signed to a backup job yesterday too. Joe fucking Flacco, you know he's better than Joe Flacco. And I do think the Buccaneers are a good situation because if Tom can't run around and the line isn't as good as he thought, he could be out a lot quicker than we thought. Step right in there and you still got championship hopes with Cam Newton at the helm. And what if he did who was the dude in Philly?
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. What if he pulled the Nick Foles, be the backup and take him for the rest of the 8 games and into the playoffs? That would be a perfect situation for Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah, I don't know if it's the clothes that he wears, but it seems like there's something there that we don't see surface that's keeping him from getting a contract. Did you guys get a chance to look at this article about do-overs for some of these former athletes who had their careers cut short? We're going to start with Devo here. Devo, tell us who you would pick among all sports to get a do-over.
Okay, so I started off and I was looking on the internet and I was seeing names thinking we were talking about Bo Jackson. I saw Bo Jackson up there. I was like, that'd be cool. I really liked Bo. I was a little young, so I don't think I would have actually appreciated his career fully out because we were so young. It would have been cool, but we would never really got to see the actual games and hold them like we would if we were an adult. I also started thinking Penny Hardaway. He was really popular back then. I loved Penny. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, but still kind of too young to appreciate it. So I had to go, and this might be crazy. Stay with me, guys. Antonio Ramiro Romo. Tony Romo, baby. That man could have stayed healthy. Look back at the season. Just stay with me. 2016, he gets hurt. Dak Preston. They go 13-3 with Dak, the rookie. And then they lose in the playoffs to Green Bay by 3 points in a field goal game. You're not telling. If Tony Romo was in that game, he could have pimped it way harder than Dak. We would have probably been 15-1. We would have killed Green Bay. We could have gone to the championships. We had Zeke, Dez, Cole Beasley, the young Jason Witten, not this like full retired comeback Jason Witten, like the good Jason Witten, and a great team. Then in the 2017 season, we didn't do that great, but I'm saying with Romo behind the helm, because we all know Dak, his biggest problem before was throwing the deep ball, and he wasn't the greatest passer or throwing people open. And Tony was a pimp at throwing people open. So I think they would have stopped Philly from going to the Super Bowl that year and won another back-to-back Super Bowls. And we would have just had the greatest little dynasty right there. It would have been the best. So Tony Romo, baby.
Welcome to the Cowboys and LeBron show, where all we talk about is Cowboys and LeBron. You're going to find out that Cowboys fans are as annoying as everybody thinks they are. All right, let's go let's go to Jeremy.
All right, so before I reveal the name, I'm going to tell you the list of accolades for this individual. You'll figure it out right away, but helped UCLA team win 88 straight college basketball games.
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Won the Naismith Trophy 3 times. Drafted number 1. Was an NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, and NBA MVP in his first 3 to 4 seasons in the league. Who am I talking about? It's Bill Walton. You did all of that in college and in 3 seasons in the NBA, and then your knees gave out? Man, what could you have done in 10 to 12 seasons if you were healthy? Give me Bill Walton.
Don't think you're going to get extra points from me for that, Jeremy.
No, look at the stats, man. Who else? Who else in their first 3 seasons? Who else in the first 3 seasons has done that?
I'm just playing with you. It's a great pick. Go ahead, Byron.
Well, this one was tough because I, like everybody else, looked at some lists and looked at some players. My issue was, a lot of these guys had their careers cut short, but we know what Bo Jackson was, right? We know what he brought. We would have loved to see more of it. We know what Brandon Roy was. We know what Derrick Rose was. We know what Bill Walton was. Guy won an MVP, so we know what they would have been. And Bill Walton still played 15 years in the league or whatever he played. My pick for this is Greg Oden, because we never got the chance to really know or really see what that guy would have been. And by all accounts, he would have dominated. The guy won 3 state titles in high school, sophomore, junior, senior, boom, 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 Gatorade High School Player of the Year, 2-time All-American. I mean, he had every accolade in the world. At Ohio State, he was averaging 16 and 10, shooting 63% from the field. I mean, that's unheard of. And his second year with the Blazers, which was the year he played the most games, which really wasn't many, he averaged 11 and 9 and 3, 11 points, 9 boards, 3 blocks in 24 minutes. So if this guy ever got healthy enough to give you 36, 38 minutes a game, he would have been a 25, 15, and 6 a game guy. It would have been unheard of, and he was a generational talent that would have reshaped the NBA. A guy, I think he would have been as influential as Yao Ming. The league had changed a little bit, but Yao Ming was a force that had to be reckoned with, and he carried those Houston teams. I would have loved to have seen Greg Oden. An honorable mention that I want to throw out there, because this is one of, I don't want to say favorite stories, but one of the most interesting stories to me. Isn't injury related, but as far as lost opportunities for athletes in a do-over, Len Bias. I don't know if you guys know that name. He was the number 2 overall pick by the Boston Celtics in '86. Died on draft night from a cocaine overdose. by all accounts, I mean, the guy was the number 2 pick in the draft. The guy was insane in college, 2-time All-American in college. This is back when guys played 4 years. Otherwise, he was NBA ready when he was 19 years old. The guy was unreal, and he would have joined those late 80s Celtics teams. It would have reshaped the whole NBA. With the Celtics, the Pistons, the Bulls, the whole course of history would have been changed had Len Bias not OD'd and played with those teams. So I would have loved to have seen what would have happened with him. Honorable mention, Len Bias.
It's a good 30 for 30 on Len Bias.
Yeah, I saw it. Fantastic. Sad.
Yeah.
So less LeBron, more Blazers. Is that how we got to do this, or
that's the rule?
Points for that, or what? Try.
The Greg Oden one is tough for me. Sure, he had a nice collegiate career and all that, but he didn't. I like some of the players on that list that started to show some promise in the league. To stick on the Blazers topic, I love the Brandon Roy one because you knew he was great. You knew what he was. You just wanted to see him continue to develop and continue to build around that team that had pretty good prospects. But good points by all. Very nice job.
So would you have gone B. Roy, or what? Who would you have gone with?
Of course, I'm going with the Blazers and B. Roy.
The only reason I don't like B. Roy is because I just don't know if he would have been anything to like stop Kobe. Like, is he gonna do anything different for the West? Kobe and them and the Spurs were owning the West. Would it have made that much of a difference? Was he that?
Well, I get it's regular season, but I'm pretty sure Roy won the head-to-head matchup against Kobe. Granted, it was regular season wins, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Was that before Powell or after Powell?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if he had him then.
Okay. Very nice job, guys. We're going to go into our final lightning would you rather.
Don't we have the Rooney Rule?
Yes, we do.
Don't interrupt him. He's the host. He knows what he's doing. Where's that eraser at?
Okay. We are going to start. We're going to do the Rooney Rule. You're right. Thank you for correcting me. Go
wow,
ahead.
so you correct him and you get a thank you. Okay.
Hey, I'm not actually taking your points. I'm just messing with you guys. All right. Rooney Rule changes require NFL teams to interview 2 minority candidates as opposed to 1. What do you guys think of this? Is this a good new rule, or is this a little too overbearing? Why don't we start with Byron?
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, it's a sad acknowledgement and an embarrassment of where things currently stand in the NFL. That they even need to do this. It's like I said, it's embarrassing and unfortunate that this even needs to come about. And a large part of the problem is this system, right? It's the system that exists with coaching in the NFL, because you have GMs who have very short shelf lives, 4 years, maybe 5 years for a GM before they get fired, which means their head coach has maybe 2 or 3 years to win at best before they're out. I mean, look at Cleveland. Cleveland has had 4 coaches since 2018. It's ridiculous, the coaching turnover and the GM turnover. And so you have this win now mentality for coaches and for GMs. And so what's a GM to do when they get a job? You can't hire a head coach or an offensive or defensive coordinator who's never been there before, right? You finally get your GM. You can't bring in a guy who's never done the job before, because you only have a couple of years for yourself as a GM to win. And so and so you're not going to hire an African American or an Asian American or a Mexican American or a woman, because they don't have experience. They haven't had these jobs before, so there aren't enough qualified candidates. And a GM isn't going to take a gamble, isn't going to take a roll of the dice with a wrong job with someone who's never done that job before. So am I in support of the rule? Absolutely, because the only way to fix this is you need to fill the pipeline with minorities who can start to get some experience at the OC, experience as a DC, experience as a head coach. So there are more qualified candidates that GMs can actually hire, because we have to be realistic about what a GM's incentive is, and that's to keep their job. So it's unfortunate, it's an embarrassment, and it's unfortunately necessary at this point. I'm in favor of it.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm also in favor. I mean, it clearly is a problem in the NFL, so they have to do something. So at least they're trying to do something about it. But I do agree that it really comes down to the talent in the pipeline. And so for me, it's a bigger issue than just the NFL. I think this extends to college. I think it even extends to high school, because how do you get an NFL head coaching job? You're likely a coordinator in the NFL first. Before that, you've got some experience in college. And before you jump into the college ranks, you've probably been a coach at high school level. So I like that the NFL is trying to do something, but I'd also like to see college and even high school make sure that they're also being proactive in this as well.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to change this, because the NFL is just like a frat. These coaches are just one big frat. And so unless you're a friend of a friend, or, your best buddies with Bill Belichick, or you came up his pipeline, or, something like that, you're just not going to get the opportunity. And just like Byron kind of pointed out, is like, this is a business. And so I do kind of side with sometimes is that, like, they just can't take the risk. Like, I'm going to have to keep picking the people I've seen do something, even if it's trash or not, because I can't take that risk. Because if I do take the risk and it's a completely flames out, then I'll just look like an idiot. I lose my GM job, and and that wouldn't even help for black guys either, because you don't want them to flame out in a terrible situation, because that scars them even more with their one chance. And I think it also just goes back to, too, just like the narrative. Like, it's crazy to me that one of the best coaches in the league is black, but we never really talk about it. Like, the Steelers head coach, he is one of the best head coaches in the league and has been that way for the last 10 years at least. The records show it, too. He just hasn't won playoff games. But, I just don't know how you fix it. Maybe over time, because our generation will start getting these jobs, and the younger generation will start getting these jobs. But until this older generation, sorry to say it, dies off, like, it's going to be really hard to get black guys in that spot. I just don't even really see how you can.
All right, very good. Okay.
White power.
Yeah. That was going to be my argument. Down with the Rooney okay, we're moving on, guys. The nice part here is that you all get to participate in our Would You Rather lightning round. One small thing I want to mention about this: I have the correct answers to all these questions. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. All right. Okay, 3 questions each. Try to limit yourself to 30 seconds. Like I said, we got correct answers, so you don't even have to do much of an explanation. Just try to get the right answer. Okay, we're going to start out with Jeremy. Jeremy, would you rather be able to freeze time or travel in time?
Ooh, travel in time. I want to know what's going to happen in the future. I'd love to go back in the past for a little bit. If I can hop around doing both, give me that any day of the week.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect, sir. Byron, would you rather be able to live without music or without movies and television?
Without music, I think you can draw inspiration and motivation from movies. You can work out to movies. You can do everything you need to do with movies. Music, it's an audio thing. It's not enough.
Sorry, that is incorrect, sir. Devo, would you rather know how you're going to die or when you are going to die?
Definitely when, because then you can max out everything you got to do. You got to like get all this stuff done before a certain amount of time. How I'm going to die? What am I going to just be like looking out for some guy that's going to choke me out, or like trying to eat better for my heart attack or something? Like, I don't know. That just doesn't really help me.
I'm sorry, sir. That is incorrect.
Wow.
Okay, we're going back to Jeremy. Jeremy, would you rather be able to run as fast as a cheetah or fly but only as fast as a turtle?
I'll fly as fast as a turtle. All right. I don't care if it takes me a while. Give me the good views. I don't need to be running around the streets with cars and stuff like that. Give me the flying.
Rough go for you guys. That's incorrect.
Now you got to pick the weird. You got to go opposite.
Byron, would you rather be the funniest person in the room or the most intelligent person in the room?
I'd rather be the funniest person in the room. You know, I think humans thrive on personal interaction, and so I'd rather be the funniest person in the room. That's more important.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
No, that's not the right. He wouldn't think that either.
No one wants to be the smart. No one likes the smartest person in the room.
No.
Okay, on to Devo. Would you rather visit 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future?
100 years in the future, for sure. I want to see what's going on. Come on. Technology, everything.
That's correct, sir.
Oh, wow.
Back to Jeremy. Jeremy, would you rather eat pizza every day for a year or eat no pizza for a whole year?
Oh, pizza every day for a year. I'm pretty sure I did that for several years while working at Papa's Pizza.
That's correct, sir. Year of the pizza. Very nice. Okay, Byron. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or in a coma for 10 years?
I'd rather be in a coma for 10 years. I think the jail experience will absolutely mess with you and change your life. You wake up from a coma, you don't know any better.
Oh, wow.
That's incorrect, sir. I knew you'd say that, though. All right, Devo, let's bring it home. Would you rather live in the same day over and over for a year or take 3 years off the end of your life?
3 years off the end. The fucking end? Have you seen old people? It's miserable.
All right, correct. Nicely done, guys. All right, so you guys want to put in any wagers? Who you think is the leader in the clubhouse here?
I'm a little concerned about how disorganized our moderator was throughout the evening, and so I really don't know how the scoring is going to come out.
I know.
I was going to say Byron until that last comment.
I will let you know we're still scoring. So.
Oh, man.
Tough go in the Would You Rather rounds.
I went 3 for 3. What are you talking about? Oh, no, I went 2 for 1. No.
Yeah, you did all right. You did good. That was good. Okay, it's a close one, but we have our winner is Byron.
All right. First of all, I will say hats off to our moderator. The lightning round Would You Rather was spot on. That was fantastic. So kudos to you there. You're going to hate my 30 seconds even more because I'm going to talk about college basketball recruiting, which no one is interested in except me. But I will say, Arizona, don't end the call. Arizona.
I'm ending the recording.
Arizona has gone extremely unorthodox in that this year, first time, with Sean Miller, who's one of the best recruiters in the business, has brought in a national record 6 international recruits to college hoops. 6 joining the program next year. It's unheard of. It's unseen. I'm extremely interested to see what this does. A lot of these international guys are 2 or 3 years ahead of the game. They come in disciplined, they come in skilled, they come in with fundamentals. I think this could be the next big wave in college basketball. I think Arizona's ahead of the curve, and I think you're going to see it in the next year or two. So there you go. 6 international recruits coming to Arizona next year. Watch for them in March.
At least it wasn't about the Blazers.
Oh, shit. Well done, everybody. Charlie, great show, great program. We'll see everybody next week. I can tell you that the first question...
I want to know, what place was I in?
You were third.
Fuck
By
you.
1 point. By 1 point.
All right, boys.
Tony Romo just
Whoa. You were about to tell us the first question for next week. Screw Devo.
It was going to be a Devo. I was going to say who's the best left tackle in college football right now, but he's already gone. So, yeah, Tony Romo should have instantly disqualified him, right?
Oh, my God. That was awful.
Yeah.
Awful. I thought
All
for
right,
sure
boys,
I'd get
for
bonus
last
points
week.
for Bill Walton, but all right.
You got those bonus points.
Okay.
Wasn't
Okay.
it?
Damn. All right. See you guys.
Nice job.
See you guys.